The subtitle to T equals R2 was Lateralizations and Regressions. At the time, didn't really know where the title was going to go, but that's the main focus. Not a complete right or left turn, but a little shift into how I wanted to explain how my brain was working. If you were to just substitute different words, lateralization would be something you do instead. A regression is something that you do to fill in the blank. A regression would be like a special exercise for movement. A lateralization is just doing something that doesn't exploit what you don't do well. Perfect example, you have tight hamstrings, you don't look good at the bottom of a deadlift, but you look fine when you pull 1 inch below the knee. You have to then say, I want deadlifts off the floor because as a coach, therapist, I believe this is going to be the best way for my client or patient or athlete to achieve what they want. Then you run your movement evaluation. You got tight hamstrings, can't get down, can't touch your toes, can't pull off the floor and keep good form. So you'll lateralize your best move, deadlift, into 1 inch below the knee for rack pull. Now, what's the concept there? You're still working on the same thing, you're just working in a different range. If it makes you feel better to say that a lateralization just changes range of motion, you could say that in this case. There's lots of other lateralizations. Perhaps you don't want anything to do with deadlift, but you do want to work with posterior chain. Maybe it's because you have two broken hands and you can't grab onto the bar. So maybe you would then look at a glute ham raise to work the posterior chain. Maybe you would work at a loaded bridge to work the posterior chain. Those would also be lateralizations. So it's not as simple as a cynical, oh, it's just this. That's not what it is. It's picking something that you do have the joints to get into the right positions to absorb and adapt to stress. And lateralizations and regressions applied your movement analysis and put things into perspective, but it also forced you to really appreciate and understand why you're doing that exercise first. Because if I were to totally change the discussion and I were to say, why are you doing deadlift? And you did say posterior chain, you should be incumbent to agree the deadlift is not the only exercise on earth that can develop the posterior chain. And now you have a reason as to why you might select something that you're less favorable towards, but one that's going to work for that person at that time.